On this episode, it's planting season. Kevin Fall, Rosen Seed Treatment Account Manager, joins us to talk about the ins and outs of Tripidity, the biostimulant in our seed treatment, what it all entails, and how it will help you this spring. ALITE 27, which is isoxaflutole with rain reactivation technology that can be sprayed on LibertyLink GT27 soybeans, was approved by the EPA. COVID-19 is slowing down everything, including approval processes for new technologies. Enlist E3 and LibertyLink GT27 soybeans have full approval and are ready to be planted this year.
Hi, this is Joe Mershman. Welcome to Cup of Joe, episode number 36, season 2. Today we have our regulars plus a special guest. We have Tommy and Turk and Ben. And Ben, I'm going to turn it over to you to introduce our special guest.
Today, for our special guest, it kind of leads into what we want to talk about with like planting conditions, and guys are getting really excited about rolling. And one of the most important things about planting early is that you have protection. And so we have Kevin Fall here. He's a Rosen Seed Treatment Account Manager. That's who we buy our F&I from, our fungicide and insecticide on our seed treatment, and it's also who we buy our Tripidity through. So today, I would like to go ahead and, Kevin, we're going to start with you, and we're going to ask, give me a little bit of background, because we've talked about Tripidity on the show multiple times, but we haven't really dove into the background behind it. It started off as two different products, and then you guys merged it together for a product that's unique that nobody else has, a product like our Tripidity. So why don't you give a little bit of background behind it, and then we'll dive into the specifics on why it's so unique and why we like it so much.
Sure, Ben. I want to thank you guys for allowing us the opportunity to participate in today's Cup of Joe. I want a full supersized Cup of Joe, and hopefully I can contribute to some of that. But Tripidity is a unique biostimulant product. I know we mentioned a lot of guys are asking if it's the proper time to go and plant. Obviously, your conditions have to be correct. Your soil conditions have to be correct. All of that has to be in line. But once those qualifications are met in your local environment, the base F&I is the first box we like to check. It's still important to take care of those stresses of disease and insects, but then Tripidity is an up-treatment biostimulant combination product that started out as two separate products, as you had mentioned. The first product was Rapidity. It is an extract biostimulant combination with a nutritional component. And it is a proprietary grouping of amino acids, a glucose source. Everybody's trying to figure out how to get sugar into the plant. It has a glucose carbon source included in it, as well as a shot of P2O5, boron, iron, manganese, and zinc. So with all of those components, along with the amino acid and the nutrition, it kind of feeds that plant. We secondarily had a product of the 3 production hormones and a product called Trizon. And basically the way a plant works is abscisic acid holds that seed in dormancy until those 3 production hormones get to a ratio that basically break that dormancy. And we had a lot of success with both of those individual products, hence our unique marketing. We put them together and called it Tripidity. So we combined the production hormones to trigger germination, along with the amino acid and the nutrition and the food source, the cellular food source, to really get that product a unique ability to help boost germination, more importantly, evenly, and then a little more quicker.
It's a very complex product, isn't it, Kevin? It's not just the 3 components that we had talked about. There's a lot more built into what behind the scenes on that individual product. So, what is the most important part, Kevin, in your guys' mind? What's the most important part about when's the most important time in a soybean plant's lifestyle? I know we talked about this last week just a little bit. Why don't you give me your guys' opinion on stands and how important that is this time of year?
Many people have heard it, but it truly does ring true that a poor stand never improves. So every stage within that crop's life has different stages of influence, but if you don't get it out of the ground and off to a good start and have that even emergence, whether it be soybeans, which we're talking about today, or corn, or any crop, An even stand is most important to get the best opportunity for that crop and the ROI at the end of the year. Then the next subsequent stage becomes the most important stage once you have a good stand that you want to invest in and continue to push that crop to get the most out of it, most bushels, most ROI per acre once you get to that point. So it is vital that we have not only the defensive components of your base F&I and Bonus Go Plus, you need to take care of those stresses, those diseases, a robust rate of metalaxyl to help with the Pythium and Phytophthora and the water mold issues, and a multi-mode fungicide along with the insect protection in Bonus Co. But once you get to that, that's where we use Tripidity to move into this offensive mode. We really want to boost and turn that seed and seedling to the offensive stage. There's that yellow funk stage when you get the soybean plant up and out of the ground. If we can continue to get those solar panels, those cotyledons up and out of the ground and into that production phase quicker, we have a better chance of getting through that yellow stunted stage as healthy as possible and moving on to that early post application.
So I got the $1 billion question here for you. We're sitting here. It's April 6th. This is going to be broadcasted out today. You talked to a lot of people all over the corn belt, soybean belt. With our product, with our F&I that we have, with the Bonus Coated Plus, with the Tripidity, what is your thoughts on planting? You know, we're before some of these insurance dates, but there are a lot of planters that rolled over the weekend. What's your thought on rocking and rolling here for getting beans in the ground?
I'm all for going if your local conditions are right. Obviously, you got to track your soil temperature. You know, as I've heard many say, you don't want, 80% of the field to be right and fit and the other 20 to still not be. Make sure we are at April, early April, the first week of April. Let's make sure the conditions are fit. Once the conditions are fit, I'm all for going. And obviously, if we can get that soybean plant up and out of the ground as evenly as possible, if we can get that soybean plant to have those solar panels, those photosynthetic solar panels with the most light interception for that summer solstice in June 21st, we're going to maximize the flowering, the clusters, the overall production, but it starts with that even stand. So as long as your local conditions are correct, I'm all for going.
Kevin, I have a question for you. I know there's a lot of companies out there that have different types of seed treatment, and we get this all the time. Yeah, our seed's treated, so it's just as good as Mershman's, basically is what they're saying. But the reality of it is, if they're not putting Tripidity on, it's really not even close to being the same. So how much additional yield potential does Tripidity add on average, looking at replicated research data?
Over all of our third-party replicated research from 2016 to the present on soybeans, we're averaging 2.7 bushel return on that investment. So it does have a positive ROI, but it's the uniqueness of that product. Once you take care of, as I mentioned, the defensive pieces of the fungicide and insect protection, to really get it off to that good stand, what does an even stand cost you in ROI? And we know a little bit of that detriment on what it costs us to replant when we don't have the proper conditions or we don't have that even stand. It can really cost us on the short term, but an even stand will return a vast ROI depending on how quickly we can get it up, but more importantly, how evenly we can get it up and out of the ground.
So Kevin, at the end of the day, this is not a low cost seed treatment. It definitely has value, and if you're not getting exactly the same thing, it's not the same as Bonus Coat Plus with Pearl Coat Plus.
And I totally agree. It is a great value. So from the economics, we still have a very good positive ROI, but you also have to invest in that value. And that's what we're doing. We're investing in not only protecting that seed cost, but more importantly, we're protecting and investing in that even emergence and that stand. As we said, a poor stand never improves. And as we mentioned, there's a lot of components within Tripidity, not just those three parts, but there's three parts with multiple components. So it's a diverse product. with all of the boxes checked. Basically, when that seed starts to imbibe, we want to give it all of the building blocks to access when that seed imbibes to take off right out of the ground. We give it that triggering mechanism in the hormones and then all of the cellular food source to try to feed through that process to be as healthy and robust as possible through germination.
Kevin, we're going to put up your PowerPoint so our customers and interested parties can look at it. But basically, from what we've seen, this product works every time. I don't care if you got tough conditions or if you got perfect conditions. And Ben, you've come up with a way, working with Kevin, you're going to show farmers exactly how that works, and it can be taken all the way to harvest, correct?
Correct.
So tell us about that.
So between me and Kevin, we've been working on two different ways that we can show the value of Tripidity. And the first way, Kevin, go ahead and talk about the flag test real quick.
Sure. And regardless of whether you're talking about a product or whether you talk a seed treatment product, whether you're talking about an in-furrow product, your equipment application, a flag test is an excellent way to see the importance of an even stand. So it was most popularized by the use in corn and flagging a plant every time in that 17.5 feet that it emerges out of the ground. You can also do this flag test on soybeans. It's obviously a little more cumbersome to flag every single soybean, but I encourage everyone to do it. Every grower, every salesperson who sells seed or treatment, no matter what it is, just seeing the importance of emergence. And it carries through, like you said, Joe, it carries through to all the way at the end of the season. You will know what that emergence cost you when you look at each individual plant in that row and how it came up according to the first plants emerged. Everything that comes up after that first wave of emergence pretty consistently has less ROI and less yield per plant. And we sell weight in grain. And it's pretty eye-opening to see that at the end of the year and what that emergence and that even stand cost you.
I think we have at least 24 or 25 of these tests that are going to be going on throughout our sales territory. I'm really, really excited. We have the flags made. They're getting shipped out with the plot seed right now. So once we start seeing these, you're going to see a whole bunch of pictures on Facebook, I imagine, from Mershman Seeds that show these emergence testing.
So you have different color flags for each day.
Yep.
So the first day you'll use one color. As soon as you see a bean popping and you mark it right down the line, everyone that's just, and then the next day you come back and then you change the color because they're a day behind, and then you go a third day. How many? 4 days? Is that what you're looking at?
We're set up for 3 days.
3 days
as of right now.
Okay. So you'll mark those soybeans as they emerge up to 3 days, and then we'll keep those flags there till fall. And then we'll pull plants and compare plants and look how many pods are on those plants. And we can actually count the pods, and we can show that the ones that emerged first will actually have more pods and more yield potential.
Correct. And the second way that we're testing against this, just to show guys the value of what the Tripidity actually has, is called a paper towel test, or a wet paper towel test that you can perform in your kitchen or in the shop or whatever, and all the area sales managers for Mershman Seeds have been equipped with the equipment to do this. But basically you'll have our treatment, our seed treatment with Tripidity, and then our seed treatment without Tripidity, and you're going to be able to see there's pictures in this PowerPoint that show you're going to be able to see the beans.
Speed of emergence.
Correct. You're going to see
germination, I should say.
Yep, you're going to see the radical drop. You're going to see the bean. You're just going to see it germinate quicker. So, two really good tests that we're going to be able to show people, show the value of what that Tripidity is, and that nobody else. I mean, our unique seed treatment that nobody else has. It's hard to copy us.
I know there's some folks out there that use biostimulants, but they're not using this one, and it's multi-stage. So, I got to give Rosen's a tip of the hat for developing this product and perfecting it, because I know there's some science behind it. It's not just throwing stuff together, because if the balance isn't correct, you can cause some problems too the other way. So appreciate that, Kevin. That's you have anything else to add to the mix here as far as what else farmers should be concerned about this spring and how Tripidity works?
I just appreciate the opportunity again. And as you mentioned, Joe, I just want to say it's the uniqueness of that combination. That's kind of what creates that emergent sweet spot. And there's some proprietary products in there, but also having those boxes checked and the concentration on the seed makes it very efficient and a great value for all that you're getting on that seed to boost that germination. So I appreciate the opportunity, and there'll be PowerPoints and whatnot and information and pictures that I know Ben mentioned he's going to post. But if anybody has any questions, feel free to get to us through your local Mershman salesperson.
Turk, I know you've been cooped up at home for the last couple of weeks. Can you tell us what you've been working on?
Lots of different things, Joe. But first of all, I want to kind of follow up with what Kevin has been talking about here. We've been talking about even emergence and the importance of even emergence. And we know that the day you plant the seed is the highest yield potential that plant has. And from there, it goes downhill. Any stress that we can mitigate or eliminate will help in yield. So in addition to making sure that you have the very best seed treatment and Tripidity on everything, getting that planter set to plant a uniform depth is critical as well. A lot of people have talked about how important, and everybody knows how important that is for corn, but it's equally as important on soybeans. As we talk, we'll be able to see this on those early plants that emerge and have the highest yield potential. So the evenness is what we're trying to do here with Tripidity and getting everything to germinate at the right time. But it's very important because even if you have Tripidity on you and one seed's 2 inches deep and one seed's 1 inch deep, Tripidity is not going to help that. You got to have that uniform planting depth and in soil moisture. Again, if you're planting seed in dry soil, it's not going to come up early. It's going to wait until you get a rain. So you got to have that right planting depth in soil moisture at a uniform depth. Very, very important. So again, I think what we're trying to do is give everybody the potential for the highest yield they can possibly get, and that's really what our goal here is at Mershman Seeds with the products that we're bringing in, and the high quality germ that we have. And so I think that's very, very important. So some of the things that have happened in the last week, Joe, ALITE 27 did get approved. We got word that it was, but it's going to be such a limited launch this year. It sounds like they're only going to have enough product to do demonstration plots, and it won't be widely available for those counties that are very limited who can use it. But the ones that do have it are going to have very limited supply of product to be able to use. So looks like they're getting ready for a full launch next year. It's a little late this year, but we can look forward. Hopefully they'll have some more counties approved by next year as well. So that's something that's happened.
The ALITE 27 herbicide, which was originally going to be called Balance Bean, is just not going to be in supply enough to be available for farmers, like if they wanted to use it tomorrow. But it will be available in better supply next year. Unfortunately, right now, there's no counties in Iowa where we can use it, no counties in Illinois, and only 6 counties in Missouri. So we've put that list up of counties so you can look to see if it's available, but there'll be a lot of demonstration plots to show the value of ALITE 27 as a pre-emerge on soybeans, which is now fully approved.
Wonderful product.
The other thing, Turk, I read this morning that looks like the Saudis and the Russians have got a tentative framework for an agreement on cutting oil production, which, obviously if you're a consumer buying gas, of course there's no place to go right now, but, you like cheap gas, but the reality of it is for the farmer and for the ethanol, we really need the gas prices to go up because these ethanol plants shutting down and not being profitable, that really puts a damper on corn demand. So That's a little bit of good news to just have that framework, and of course it's going to take a few weeks for that's all going to take effect, but that's a positive thing that we've seen this morning.
That's really good news, Joe. Hopefully everybody follows through and keeps the word, and that improves that demand, because we absolutely have to have that price of corn up in around that $354 range, and the price of oil up to around $50 for everything to work in the ethanol. And again, let's not forget why we have ethanol in here is to help the environment as well with depleting the emissions that are given off by all the vehicles. So that's the whole reason for having it, and having a source of burning up our corn supplies that we have. Again, livestock is there's big livestock numbers, and between ethanol and livestock, that's a large part of our corn supply.
Appreciate that, Turk. Tommy, do you have anything for us this week?
I wanted to put a few things out there. I wanted to reiterate a little bit what Ben was talking about this morning about 50 degree soil temperatures and rising. We've had a lot of guys putting some soybeans, a lot of corn going in the area in southeast Iowa and south. Again, I know Alex is going to post the insurance dates on here, and I know there's a little bit of a cold snap coming in Thursday or so for a few days in our area. But again, when the conditions are right, we support that as far as planting. I think what Kevin said kind of rings true, is poor stand never improves. And I think if 2019 taught us anything, it was poor stands never improve. So, and also in that itch with everybody with this coronavirus and farmers wanting to get out there, and people still remember in 2019, there's going to be a lot of early planted corn and soybeans in our area going north, wherever it's conducive for planting. So we also have had some extend acres, extend flex especially, switching over to some enlist acres. And I thought that was real interesting with a few customers who are concerned of the EU approval on the extend flex trade platform, Joe. And what that has come out to be is guys just don't have the storage to be holding that if it's not going to get approved. So a little bit of peace of mind. They're wanting to plant something that's 100% approved in the United States and anywhere, no restrictions at all. So Enlist has been having a little bit of an uptick for changed acres. Also, corn on corn acres have been switching quite a bit to a rotation crop with soybeans. So something to really think about, especially in those northern areas, northern Iowa, northern Illinois, a lot of corn on corn acres up there. And if guys are switching, with the grain market prices that are out right now. So it's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of wanting to go, a lot of itching. I think, again, a poor stand never improves. If we can get the seed emerged, and with our Tripidity product, we should have no issues. But again, I think people need to remember that planting time is a very busy season. Be safe at all times, no shortcuts, and let's get it right the first time.
Good points, Tommy. I think the critical thing, and Ben will back me up on this, is make sure that first rain is not a cold rain that causes the seed to swell and germinate, because that typically really messes up the seed when it takes that first drink of water and it is freezing cold. So far the rainfall levels have been very light. We haven't seen these big goose drowners, so that's a positive thing when soils are in good shape.
And I think Joe, a little bit too with Wednesday looks like it might be one of those cold rains. Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday night. So just kind of keep in touch. Watch the weather. Keep up with John Felt. We have a great weather forecaster at Mershman Seeds. So do it right the first time. That's all I have to say.
Oh, good point, Tommy. And just be careful out there. Like I said, go ahead and start, but don't get in a big hurry. I mean, take your time. Spread those acres over, because with these large planters, if you plant it all in just a few days, you've actually concentrated your risk so that you're more vulnerable to those extremely cold, wet rains that come in. So that's the back when they had 2-row and 4-row planters, it took several weeks to plant the crop. Now we can plant it in just literally days, and that concentrates our risk. So it's either going to be all right or it's all going to be all wrong. So keep that in mind. Anything else that anybody like to add? If not, I'll wrap this thing up.
I'm waiting for my corny joke.
Okay. Well, I wanted to make sure that everybody was aware that, we have John Felt out there that helps us on our weather forecast, but we also have another person, and that's Dick Moore. Dick Moore is a retired former Mershman area sales manager, and he's from down by Sedalia, Missouri. And Dick, I'm not sure how old Dick is, but he's definitely in his upper 70s, I think. And one of the things his grandfather taught him was how the zodiac signs and the moon go together to predict the best time to plant. And so we put Dick Moore's 2020 planting guide, which you might think, Joe, you're running off the edge here a little bit. But the reality of it is when Dick was area sales manager, when he would go out on a replant call, he would pull in the field and he would tell the farmer, these are the 2 days that you probably planted this field. And the farmer would look stunned and say, how did you know that? And he says, well, that's because that was the wrong sign of the moon to be planting soybeans or corn at that time. And so soon his customer base became addicted to this Dick Moore's planting guide. And again, it's something his grandfather taught him, which would have probably came around the turn of the century, is where he learned it, and then he passed it on to Dick in his younger years. So it is something of value, we think, and we've been watching it, and we think there's something to it, but it's another tool that you can look at. The other one that we publish on our website is the Joe Berkey onion test, which Joe's from Nebraska. He's one of our area sales managers, and his father taught him this one, and that's where you take 12 onions on New Year's Eve and you core them out and you put salt in them, and then you read them left to right, January, February on up. And last year he predicted the wettest year ever, and that was on January 1st, and it was almost 100% accurate. In fact, I think he predicted a dry August, and it turned out to be a little bit wetter than what it was. So again, some different tools to help you besides our regular weather forecaster to give you some a leg up to get better stands and better yields, because at the end of the day, that's what we're here to help you with. So that concludes that part, except for the corny joke. And the corny joke, since all of us, or many of you, have to stay inside, we're only going to tell inside jokes this week. No, the reality of it is the average farmer gets 6 seed salespeople calling on them, and all asking for the order, all saying their seed's the best and they got the best price. Well, I know it's tough out there to be a seed salesman, and when farmers get so many options and so many choices. So the other day, I had a salesman call in, and I asked him, I says, did you get any orders today? And the salesman said, yes, I did. I got 2. And I said, congratulations. What were they? And the salesman said, get out and stay out. Maybe that has a little bit more meaning with this coronavirus right now. So, but the reality of it is everybody is doing their best. I know in our local Fort Madison, between 1 and 2 o'clock, they encourage people to get in their classic cars and drive down the main drag and Avenue G downtown Fort Madison and just wave at each other. And the place probably had 50, 60 cars, pretty neat cars, driving down the strip back in the old days. Reminds me of my teenage days. But anyhow, we appreciate you listening today and watching, and hope that this week is productive for you, and we'll see you next week. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.